धन्यवाद स्पीकर सर। मैं पहले आपके द्वारा इस पूरे सदन को धन्यवाद कहना चाह रही हूँ। I wish to thank all members of this House who actively participated in the general discussion on the budget which was presented to this House. The discussions have been very much in detail, and the number of MPs who participated in the discussions makes me feel very reassured that this House shall give maximum attention to issues related to the economy, because, as I said during my budget speech, our emphasis is to ensure that economic growth, which is the prime instrument to bring Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, will be the focus of this government as much as national security. I wish to name and thank each one of the members who have spoken: Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Shri Jain Sinha, Shri T.R. Balu, Shri Kalyan Banerjee, Shri Vinayak Raut, Shri Santosh Kumarji, Shri Bhatruhari Mehtab, Shri Sukhbir Singh Badal, Shri Raghuram Ramakrishna Raju, Kumar Danish Ali, Shri Sunil Tatkare, Shri Jagdampika Pal, Shri Pradyut Bordoloi, Shri Baidyanath Prasad Mahto, Srimati Aparajita Sarangi, Shri Tokihito Yeptomi, Shri Jugal Kishore, Shri Ramesh Viduri, Shri Harish Duvedi ji, Shri Rang Appa Chandu Barne, Shri Raksha Nikhil Khadse, Shri Bhagwant Maan, Shri Virendra Singh ji, Shri Nama Nageshwar Rao, Shri Vinod Kumar Sonkar, Shri Ramchandra Paswan, Shri Ganesha Murthy, Shri Vasant Kumar, Shri S.R. Parthiban, Shri Dr. Kirit P. Solanki, Srimati Pratima Mandal, Shri Nand Kumar Singh Chauhan, Srimati Ranjan Bhatt, Shri Mitesh Ramesh Bhai Patel, Srimati Praneet Kaur, Shri Ajay Mishra Teni, Srimati Sunita Duggal, Shri A. Raja, Srimati Rekha Verma, Shri K. Subbarayan, Shri Sishir Adhikari, Shri Nalin Kumar Katil, Colonel Rajavardhan Rathod, Shri Anto Antony, Shri Margani Bharat, Shri P.P. Chaudhary, Srimati Supriya Sule, Shri K. Ram Mohan Naidu, Shri Kapil Moreshwar Patil, Shri Firoz Varun Gandhi, Shri Dileshwar Kamath, Shri B.B. Patil, Srimati Rama Devi, Shri Sudhakar Tukaram Shrangare, Shri Janardhan Singh Sigriwal, Dr. K. Jayakumar, Shri Shrikant Eknath Shinde, Shri Rajendra Ghavit, Shri Rajan Vichare, Shri Jnana Diravyam, sorry about that, Shri Bhagwant Kuba, Shri Girish Chandra, Shri Navas Kani, Shri Anubhav Mohanty, Shri Narayan Bhai Kachadia, Shri A.M. Arif, Shri Siddeshwar, Shri N.K. Premchandran, Shri Asaduddin Owaisi, Shri Tirat Singh Rawat, Shri Saptagiri Ulaka, Shri Thomas Tharikadan, Shri Aparupa Poddar, Shri Gajanan Kirtikar, Shri Sunil Kumar Pintu, Shri Asit Kumar Mal, Dr. Subhash Sarkar, Srimati Anupriya Patel, Srimati Rita Bahuguna Joshi, Shri M. Selvaraj, Shri Hanuman Beniwal, Shri Vijay Baghel, Shri Talari Rangaya, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary, Srimati Meenakshi Lekhi, Shri M.K. Raghavan, Srimati Sumalata Ambarish, Shri D. Ravi Kumar, Dr. Virendra Kumar, Shri Nihal Chand, Shri Pushpendra Singh Chandel, Shri Ajay Bhatt, Shri P. Ravindra Kumar, and Shri Ratan Singh Magan Singh Rathod, Shri Professor Saugata Roy, Srimati Loket Chatterjee, Shri Badruddin Ajmal, Ms. Agatha Sangma, Shri Pradeep Kumar, Shri Komati Reddy Venkat Reddy, Shri Sanjay Kumar Bhandi, Shri Godeti Madhavi, Shri Kagan Murmu, Shri Tiruma Valavan, Shri Ravi Kishan, Shri Pratap Simha, Srimati Sangeeta Azad, Shri Sangam Lal Gupta, Shri Tapir Gaon, Shri Om Prakash Bhupal Singh Rajay Nimbalkar, Shri Mukesh Rajput, Shri Dharmendra Kashyap, Shri Gaurav Gogoi, Shri Sushil Kumar Singh, Shri Ramcharan Bohra, Dr. Subhash Bhamre, Shri Prabhat Bhai Sababai Patel, Shri Ajay Tamta, Shri Raju Bista, and probably 3 more who have spoken this afternoon. And as of the last 4 of them who have spoken just now, and as of last night, there was a cumulative total of 15 hours and about 9 minutes spent on this. In addition to that, we'll add what has been spent here now. So I'm extremely grateful that the members volunteered to speak, came up with a lot of suggestions and questions, and really, it's inspirational that the budget has evinced so much of interest in this House. So, Speaker, I just want to bring in certain factual picture of how this budget has been presented to this House. There was an interim budget which was presented in 2019-20 in the Parliament on 1st February 2019. And the connected appropriation bill, which is the vote on account, was all passed, and it was effective till 31st July 2019. As a result, this budget which is now being passed is essentially to keep the continuity post 31st July, to maintain the government and its expenditure, and also to provide for the fiscal year which is already commenced. So with the constitution of the 17th Lok Sabha and the formation of a new government, the regular budget, as this is now called, the regular budget for 2019-2020 has been proposed to the Parliament in this session. The regular budget, as we call it, 2019-20, which includes the Finance Bill 2019, the demands for grants 2019-20, will cover the entire fiscal year 2019-20. I wish also to draw the attention of the honourable members through you, respected Speaker, sir, that this is the second budget. This is the second budget after the implementation of the Goods and Services Tax from 1st July 2017. So the highlights of the budget estimates for 2019-20, I would like to just draw your attention and elaborate on some of them. The entire detail, the financial data are all provided in the entire set of budget documents which was given to all members. With a continued emphasis on empowering states, the total resources transferred to the states, including the devolution of states' share in taxes and the releases under centrally sponsored scheme in B 2019-20 is estimated to be 13,29,428 crores. I repeat that number, 13,29,428 crores. This entails an increase of, this is important, this entails an increase of 82,845 crores over the RE of 2018-2019 and 2,44,298 crores more than the actuals of 2017-18. So I would want to emphasize that 2 years after the GST implementation, when even as we present this budget, we are very clearly saying that under the central sponsored schemes, the amount which is being spread is far higher than what it was earlier. Then the budget 2019-20 reflects the government's commitment, and I'm happy to say that. It reflects the commitments of this government to substantially boost investment in agriculture, substantially boost investment in social sector, particularly in education and in health, keeping the fiscal deficit at 3.3% of GDP as against the 3.4% which was envisaged in the interim budget in the BE 2019-20. Government is committed to continue the path of fiscal consolidation. Let me reassure this House that we are committed to continue the path of fiscal consolidation without compromising on the requirements of public expenditure placed by the various sectors. So there need not be any worries or anxiety that if we are really insisting on keeping the fiscal consolidation map, will the social sectors, will health, will education suffer? No, not at all. We are ensuring that they are taken care of, and this has been achieved through prudent rationalization of expenditure and mobilization of additional resources. In the budget estimates of 2019-20, those who are interested in the numbers, I would like to repeat here, the total expenditure is placed at 27,86,349 crores, showing an increase of 3,44,136 crores. The total expenditure of the government has increased by 3,44,136 crore over the BE of 2018-19, and an increase again of 3,29,114 crores over the RE 2018-19. So with figures, I wish to say here,
not now.
माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी, आप उनको अलाउ मत कीजिए, आप बोलिए, आप कंटिन्यूस कीजिए, आप कंटिन्यूस कीजिए। हाँ जी, मैं आपको बाद में मौका दूंगा।
Sir, any concerns on the figures which have been released till now, figures which have been picked up from other sources like economic survey, which the chief economic advisor has brought out? I have a separate section to address during my speech today. So I hope that will address the concern. If I only can read your mind, member, I will.
माननीय सदस्य, प्लीज माननीय सदस्य।
Speaker sir, Professor Saugata Roy is very senior and has a lot of concern. Noticed my absence about not being in the House yesterday. And I shall respond to him and to the concerns that he's raised with just one comment to make. That data did not make a part of my speech, was something which I myself stood up to say as soon as I finished the budget speech with your permission. And I wish Professor Saugata Roy heard me say that then, that it was part of the annexure to my speech and part of an entire budget document. If only Professor, respected Speaker, if only Professor and a senior member of this House heard me as much as he noticed that I was not in the House, heard me as much as I spoke that day and went into over the weekend into the budget document, he wouldn't have this question today. But never mind. So I continue with your permission. To speak about my reply to the members. So the budget estimate clearly, which I've read out now, shows increase in government's expenditure. And the total expenditure includes a provision of and 2,404 crores under the various schemes. So the figures for expenditure, particularly on sectors which will be of keen interest for most of us, I have explained here. There is, of course, a lot of questions about tax receipts. I'll take 1 minute of your precious time, Speaker. The gross tax receipts, and this is not something which I'm saying today, they are all in the documents. The gross tax receipts are budgeted at 24,61,195 crores in the BE 2019-20, which marks an increase. Members, please note, tax receipts, I have mentioned what I've said in the BE 2019-20, and that marks an increase of 2,13,020 crores, 9.48% increase in tax receipts over 2018-19 BE RE. Centre's net tax revenue after transfer of state share and transfer to National Disaster Response Fund is estimated to be 16,49,582 crores, with an increase of 1,65,176 crores. Again, an increase of 11.13% over the RE of 2018-19. So nowhere, I reassure you, Speaker, sir, nowhere is a decline. Expenditure is improved and increased. Income receipts have also increased. So I like to assure this House that the figures which I'm reading now here are there for you to refer and, if necessary, come back to me on again. The non-tax revenue receipts are estimated at 3,13,179 crores in the BE of 2019-20, and the revenues expected from disinvestment, which will be of interest to many of our members. The revenues expected from disinvestment are budgeted at a realistic 1,05,000 crores in BE 2019-20. Now, let me assure you again, the projections made in the budget are realistic and adequately provide for items of expenditure such as defense expenditure, pensions and salaries, internal security, and other welfare programs and establishment expenditure of the government itself. So to fully finance these expenditure commitments, necessary resource mobilization from tax and non-tax sources have also been envisaged. So, as I said, members have taken a lot of interest. A lot of inputs have come from members who have raised various different questions too. But here I wish to aggregate the various comments made by different members. Some of them will relate to one or two members. Some of them will relate as my response. Some of them will relate to many members. So I've tried only to collate all of them by topic, and the response is more for each one of those honorable members who have raised the questions. So instead of going through response by each member, I'm going with a collated version so that all of our times can be more optimally utilized. Speaker, sir, I recollect that when I was presenting the budget, I very clearly said that this budget certainly comes at a time when an interim budget had already been presented. I'm also conscious that this is the last year of the 14th Finance Commission, and this year, probably sometime in November, October, November, the new commission, the 15th Finance Commission's report will be received. It will be submitted to the Rashtrapati, and then, of course, the government will get to seeing it. And therefore, the budget which comes in February of 2020 will take on board the recommendations as it is then decided, as it would be then decided of the new Finance Commission. But then, this budget definitely, as I kept saying to some of my colleagues, has two bookends. One is the interim budget, which was submitted in February before the elections, and the fact that there is a finance commission. And between the two bookends, we are making provisions, and therefore, this budget gives a big picture of this newly elected government, which has a strong mandate from the people of India. And as a result, the big picture tells you what we want to do in the 10 years, which was broadly mentioned even during the interim budget. And even as it does roll out the 10-year vision, we've kept ourselves a mid-decadal target, which is the $5 trillion economy, $5 trillion US dollar economy target. And towards it, we spoke of effectively bringing a good cycle towards investment, towards generating more jobs, towards greater manufacturing within India and making India a manufacturing hub. And how would we do it? We would do it by bringing in more steps towards having greater investment drawn into this country. And for that promotion of growth, among many other things, the few things which I want to draw the attention of the House, which is also part of what some of the members have raised, foreign direct investment policy sees further liberalization. There's a turnover limit hike as regards lowering of the corporate tax from 30% to 25%. So today only companies which have up to 400 crores get covered under the 25% taxation. Additional income tax reduction of 1.5 lakh on the interest paid on loans taken to purchase electric vehicles. And moving the GST Council for the reduction of GST rates on electric vehicles from 12% to 5%. Along with all this, government has also increased the scope of voluntary pension scheme for retail traders and shopkeepers to everyone with an annual turnover of less than 1.5 crores. I also want to draw the attention of the House that government has made it very clear that its intention to push the infrastructure development of the country with an intention to invest 100 lakh crores in infrastructure over the next 5 years. These are some of the steps through which we want to improve. These are the steps through which we want to improve investment in the country. There is also the scheme for funding upgradation and regeneration of traditional industries, which has been started to facilitate cluster-based development to make traditional industries more productive, profitable, and capable for generating sustained employment opportunities. And then again, we are making sure that there are reductions of custom duty on certain raw materials and capital goods, all of which are necessary for better promotion of domestic manufacturing. And then, you are aware, keeping women in mind, we have extended the scheme for at least 1 lakh of rupees to be provided to a member of every SHG group. So with all this, promotion of economic growth will be top of our agenda. But at the same time, taking care of the Kisan of the country, we have ensured that cash transfers under the PM Kisan, providing for an income of 6,000 rupees annually to all farmers, which was earlier limited only to farmers who were holding less than 2 hectares of land. Now it's available for all farmers throughout the country. Further, to give focused attention to issues of growth, the government has constituted a 5-member Cabinet Committee on Investment and Growth chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister himself. So, if we have set the target of $5 trillion US, it is because we are also taking very strong steps for promotion of growth. And for promotion of growth, incentivizing investment ensuring that investment comes to this country, and it makes a collective sense for us to draw the attention of all the investment which can come, saying that this country has the correct ecosystem for it. And that is why policy changes are always prominently placed before the people. I come to the data which is of great interest for many of our members, and who actually have started, rightly because they want clarity, to question as to why there are so many different figures floating around. I'd like to say specifically on the GDP growth rate related questions which all members probably were meaning to ask me. The growth rate of the nominal GDP for 2019-2020 in the budget documents. I'm sure members are really all ears to hear me on this. I seek their complete attention so that all doubts are dispelled. The growth rate of nominal GDP for 2019-20 in the budget documents has been projected at 12% over the advanced nominal GDP estimates of 188,40,731 crores for 2018-19. The advanced estimates of 2018-19 were released. The dates are important. The advanced estimates for 2018-19 were released on 7th January 2019. The next, which is equally important so that all the gaps can be filled up. The growth rate of nominal GDP for 2019-20 in the economic survey. Please note, the first one which I said was for the budget documents. This is about the economic survey. The growth rate of the nominal GDP for 2019-20 in the economic survey has been projected at 11% over the provisional nominal GDP estimates of 190,10,164 crores of 2018-19. The provisional estimates for 2018-19 were released on 31st May. The first one was 7th January 2019. This one was released on 31st May 2019. Both the projections, I underline, both the projections are consistent with each other, as each of them projects the nominal GDP of 211,607 crores for the year 2019-20. This is because, as compared to the economic survey, the higher GDP growth rate of 12% projected in the budget documents of 2019-20 is on a lower base, lower GDP base for 2018-19. So, why did the budget use it? Naturally, that will be the question next. Why did the budget use it? Something which is different from the economic survey. The economic survey is produced by the CEA, and the Government of India holds a respectful arm's distance with the economic survey. Please do recollect that. And why did the budget documents use this figure? A lower GDP base of 2018-19 has been used in the budget documents as the same GDP base was used in the interim budget of 2019-20 projected and presented in January 2019. Remember, the figures which was used then in the budget documents were released even on 7th January, so latest. Using the same GDP base ensures comparability, budget to budget, interim and the regular. Regular with the last year regular is possible, only use comparable base. So, using the same GDP base ensures comparability of deficit ratios projected for 2019-20 in both the interim and in this July budget, and as much as what was relevant data in the last year's budget. So I hope scholars, respected honorable members of this House, who thought too many figures were floating around would now be clear that they have reasons for being there. And it is therefore the consistency with which government's budget documents is produced, whether it's interim or the regular, as different from what is used in the economic survey. All right? So I hope members can now look at afresh. All right? So you can please look at what has been given to you officially. After this, Honorable Speaker,
दे दूंगा आपको भी एप्रोप्रिएशन बिल है। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज माननीय सदस्य।
I would like to request them. We have heard them very patiently, and Honorable Minister is replying them. They should hear, and after that, what you are disturbing is your right. Disturbing is your right. No, it is unfair. I am telling you.
प्लीज माननीय सदस्य,
The economic survey data of 1819 and now the nominal growth rate of 1927.
माननीय सदस्य कंटिन्यूस प्लीज। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज। माननीय सदस्य जब तक माननीय मंत्री बोलेंगे जी बोले, आप कोई बीच में नहीं बोलेंगे। आपको जो क्लेरिफिकेशन लेना मुझे बताएं, मैं माननीय मंत्री से क्लियर कराऊंगा। प्लीज।
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much. And I thought, even if I'm mocked at sometimes, I spoke like a teacher to a class of students. Pardon me. And even if that's not sufficient, I'm quite happy to receive members to room number 36 with due respect. Sir, quite a few members have said that central government provides funds through National Disaster Response Fund, which is a cess-based fund. The NDRF is constituted under Section 46 of the Disaster Management Act of 2006. The eventual implementation of the GST.
माननीय मंत्री जी एक मिनट। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज माननीय सदस्य प्लीज सिट डाउन प्लीज। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज सिट डाउन प्लीज। एक मिनट सिट डाउन प्लीज सिट डाउन। मैं ऐसी माननीय सदस्य मैं व्यवस्था दे रहा हूं ना। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज मैं व्यवस्था दे रहा हूं। प्लीज बैठ जाइए एक बार। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज बैठ जाइए। आप दादा बैठ जाइए। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज मैं व्यवस्था दे रहा हूं। प्लीज माननीय सदस्य प्लीज अजय रंजन जी बोले मात प्लीज सिद्ध प्लीज। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज आप माननीय सदस्य प्लीज बैठिए। प्लीज माननीय सदस्य, ऐसी कोई भी बात जब कार्रवाई में मेरे आएगी तो मैं निश्चित रूप से देख लूंगा। माननीय
वित्त मंत्री जी की भाषण बड़ी ध्यान से सुन रहे हैं, लेकिन ध्यान से सुनने का मतलब ये नहीं कि हम एक गुमराह करें और हम गुमराह होते रहे, ये तो नहीं है। अगर कहीं हमें लगे कि आपका भाषण में कोई गुमराह करने की कोशिश हो रही है तो हम तो क्लैरिफिकेशन मांगेंगे। अगर क्लैरिफिकेशन मांगने का मतलब ये नहीं आप हमें कहेंगे कि आप टीचर हैं।
माननीय सदस्य प्लीज माननीय सदस्य प्लीज प्लीज मंत्री जी आप माननीय सदस्य प्लीज माननीय सदस्य आप पहली बार आए, प्लीज बैठिए। दादा प्लीज दादा मैं आपको मैं क्लेरिफिकेशन करने दूंगा बाबा, बाद में मैं मौका दूंगा। पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर नहीं, आपको क्लेरिफिकेशन करने दूंगा। माननीय सदस्य प्लीज, माननीय मंत्री जी, माननीय मंत्री जी, माननीय मंत्री जी, माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी, माननीय सदस्य माननीय सदस्य बता देना आप, प्लीज सिट डाउन प्लीज, प्लीज। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी कंटिन्यू। माननीय सदस्य, मैं आपका सबका क्लेरिफिकेशन कराऊंगा, प्लीज बैठ जाए आप। नो पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर, नो पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर, नो अलाउ पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी,
Thank you, sir.
कोई रिपोर्ट हो जाए। माननीय मंत्री जी प्लीज।
I wish to
माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी बैठ जाइए। आसन पैरों पे बैठ जाइए प्लीज, आसन पैरों बैठ जाइए प्लीज, बैठ जाइए आसन पैरों पे प्लीज। माननीय सदस्यगण सभी, माननीय सर प्लीज प्लीज, हाँ हाँ, मैं आसन पैरों प्लीज बैठ जाइए, आसन पैरों पे, आसन पैरों पे प्लीज बैठ जाइए, प्लीज बैठ जाइए, प्लीज। आप गौरव जी सबको प्लीज, सबको प्लीज, दादा प्लीज प्लीज, आसन पैरों पे आप वरिष्ठ सदस्य प्लीज बैठ जाइए, एक बार बैठ जाइए। माननीय सदस्यगण, माननीय सदस्य प्लीज 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 प्लीज, आसन पैरों पे। माननीय सदस्यगण, मैंने आपको पूर्ण व्यवस्था दे दी थी। मैं सभी कार्रवाई को देखने के बाद सदन में जो उचित होगा उससे आपसे चर्चा करके उस कार्रवाई से उसको हटाया जाएगा। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी, हाँ हाँ बोल दी, व्यवस्था दे दी ना दादा, हाँ बोल दी ना वित्त मंत्री जी।
Thank you. Sir, I talk about the central government funds. The
फिर बैठे बैठे प्लीज। माननीय सदस्य,
Thank you.
माननीय सदस्य प्लीज, माननीय सदस्य प्लीज प्लीज, मैंने व्यवस्था दे दी, इसका बैठ जाए माननीय सदस्य प्लीज प्लीज, दादा प्लीज बैठ, माननीय सदस्य प्लीज बैठ जाए आप, बैठ जाए आप। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी बैठे बैठे मत बोलिए, माननीय सदस्य बैठे बैठे मत बोलिए।
So the central government provides funds through the National Disaster Response Fund, which is a cess-based fund meant for providing relief of immediate nature in case of natural calamities, which is given to the states. NDRF is constituted under Section 46 of the Disaster Management Act 2005. National Calamity Contingency Duty is levied to finance the NDRF and the additional budgetary support which is provided as and when necessary. A provision also exists to encourage any person or institution to make a contribution to the NDRF. Eventual to implementation of the GST, collection on account of the NCCD, which is the National Calamity Contingency Duty, is on the lower side, and therefore gross budgetary support is being provided to supplement the requirement in this respect. In addition, funds are also allocated under the State Disaster Response Fund, which is the SDRF, as Finance Commission grants. The amount of annual contribution to the SDRF of each state for each financial year would be as recommended by the Finance Commission for its award period. The share of the central government in the SDRF shall be remitted to the state governments in 2 installments in June and December in each financial year. Normally, there arises a lot of discussion because when the amounts are due between June and December, there's this feeling that centre has not released the funds. But these are the 2 mileposts for releasing of such funds. The state government shall also transfer their contribution to the SDRF in 2 installments in June and December of the same year, provided that if the Ministry of Home Affairs, upon being satisfied that exigencies of a particular calamity so warrant, may recommend an earlier release of the central share up to 25% of the fund due to the states in the following year. So I just want to highlight that the NDRF, to meet the requirement of any natural calamities for the year 2019-20, that is the BE, is 10,000 crores for the NDRF and 10,343.85 for the SDRF. Even that has been very clearly, and the data for the amount distribution by state is also available. So I'd like to have a quick reference to what has been festering us in the name of NPAs, non-performing assets, because that's critical. Sir, the banking system in the country has been operating against very severe challenging backdrop. And that backdrop is also aggravated by the difficult global economic conditions. And that's lasted for a long period. So, it has generally adversely affected the bank's asset quality, earnings, and also capital adequacy. The problems in the banking sector have got even more aggravated due to the stressed non-performing assets, the NPAs. This was recognized, and the Reserve Bank of India in December 2015 had an asset quality review, the AQR. The primary reasons, as was recognized by the RBI's committee, are there's been a spurt of stressed assets in the recent times, and they've said, inter alia, aggressive lending practices during the downturn, some willful defaults, some loan frauds, corruption in some cases, and also the economic slowdown have all contributed to it. Systemic factors also have added to it, such as a culture of among some people, lax credit discipline, and then lack of domain expertise for loans to specialized nature, large exposure to some consortiums which have really had poor governance, non-adherence to loan covenants, and so on. So, this government came up with a 4R strategy consisting of recognition of NPAs transparently, leading to resolution, the first R, recovery of value from stressed assets, the second R, recapitalizing the public sector banks, the third R, and the fourth, the reforms in public sector banks and financial ecosystem, thereby trying to reduce the NPAs in total. We also want to very clearly identify and mark what we've done in terms of bringing change in the credit culture through the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which fundamentally changed the credit borrower relationship taking away the control of defaulting companies from promoters or owners and debarring willful defaulters. The second is the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act, which was also amended to make it more effective, with provision for 3 months imprisonment in case of the borrower does not provide asset details, and for the lender to get possession of the mortgaged asset within 30 days. These have been absolutely milestone of a step taken towards addressing the issue of NPA, and we strongly believe that we are not only acting from the point of view of drawing investments with newer activities, but ensuring that the NPA issue is solved in a holistic fashion. Over the last
शौकत दादा ने व्यवस्था दी थी कि मैं सदन में कभी उठकर बीच में नहीं बोलूंगा। आपने कहा था ना, सबने कहा था। तो मेरा आग्रह सदन आपका है, वित्त मंत्री जी के बाद आपका क्लेरिफिकेशन के लिए मैं आपको क्लेरिफिकेशन के लिए समय दूंगा आपका, पर बीच में नहीं। दादा प्लीज 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 बीच में नहीं दादा। माननीय आप माननीय सदस्य बैठे बैठे नहीं बोले। माननीय सदस्य, आप सबने कहा था आपका जब क्लेरिफिकेशन की आवश्यकता होगी तो मैं आपका समय दूंगा। हाँ, वो अभी मंत्री नहीं बने, माननीय सदस्य भी मंत्री नहीं बने, भगवान ने आपको मंत्री बनाया है।
So over the last 5 years, over the last 5 financial years, public sector banks were recapitalized to the extent of 3,19,497 crores, with infusion of 2,52,987 crores by the government and mobilization of over 66,510 crores by the PSBs themselves. So we have ensured that we address the NPA issues so that the banking sector will not have to struggle to fund and to address newer credit requirements. So one of the major concerns, and I've heard some of the members say, not even one paragraph on agriculture has been read. No mention of agriculture has been made. I was surprised to hear this, because if anything, if I've elaborated much during my budget speech, it was for the agriculture sector, it was for farmers' welfare, it was for modernizing agriculture, it was making sure that agriculture in India gets a prominence. Now, in response to the questions which have been asked by some of the members, I'd like to just sort of put that record straight. Of course, every ministry comes up with an annual report from their ministry's side to explain what exactly they have done over the year or several years. In the budget, of course, we come up with some mentions of each of the ministries. Therefore, on the agricultural subject of agriculture, understanding that there is definitely a lot of challenges in the agrarian sector, not forgetting that legacy of the past are not something that has arisen during the period of 2014-19 alone. We are looking at a comprehensive solution for agriculture-related matters. It's our government that has very early, even after taking over the responsibility in 2014, realized that the agriculture sector needs huge transformational steps. It is in this context that the Prime Minister had committed to doubling of farmers' income by 2022, and our government has developed a strategy for doubling farmers' income based on the recommendations of the Committee on doubling farmers' income. So it's not as if we've just come up with a couple of schemes. This is clearly based on the recommendations given by the Committee on Doubling of Farmers' Income. And thanks to our policy, let me put some data on record. The country now produces food grains totaling 289 million tons. Horticultural export is 385 MTs, and 180 metric tons of milk is now being produced. And you know, often in this House during the question hour, several members have asked the concerned ministers, and they have said how India tops on the chart of production of vegetables, fruits, milk, and so many other agricultural products. The Universal Soil Health Card Scheme enhanced intensified coverage under the micro-irrigation, particularly when we have a water problem all over the country. Micro-irrigation is the way to go. Neem-coated urea have been promoted, and providing easy access to all the farmers for fertilizers has reduced the cost of cultivation. Again, something which has been repeated all the while. After 2014, we have never seen queues of farmers waiting for fertilizer. There has been no lathi charge when farmers were waiting to collect their fertilizer. Earlier the history was when farmers went for their fertilizers, they were beaten, they were thrashed, and therefore I like to say that our measures have made a difference to the farmers. On the MSP, where under minimum 50% is added to the margin of profit on the cost of cultivation. This is something which will be of great interest to all the members of Parliament who are here today. We've often heard discussions on Swaminathan Committee. I'll come to that in a minute. With the adoption of this new MSP policy in 2018, all the commodities, I underline, all the commodities for which MSP is notified have seen a big jump in the MSPs. Every item. Earlier, we have heard only wheat and rice. There are 22 or 24 such items which are mentioned in the MSP list. We've never heard of any of them before 2014 being getting MSP. Whereas now, 2014 onwards, you have for every one of the 22 items listed, MSP being provided, MSP being given, and procurements happening on the ground. Market reforms have been our policy's cornerstone. Market reforms have been our policy's cornerstone. Some of the initiatives included building a national agricultural market through ENAM, a new market architecture consisting of grams, that is, competitive wholesale markets, and agri-exports. The total in 2018 budget, we have provided for a non-budgetary corpus fund of 2,000 crores to supplement the budgetary allocations and accelerate the pace of coverage under the ENAM and the GRAM. Ministry of Commerce has also adopted an agri-export policy with targeting to double the agri-exports by 2022. So not just the farmers' income, but also agri-export shall double by 2022 because of our policy. So if all these are reforms for agriculture, we have not forgotten the welfare measures, the measures that we need to take for the sake of the farmers. We have rolled out the PM Kisan, under which 6,000 rupees annually is transferred to every farmer, irrespective of the size of holding. This historic step This historic step, costing 87,000 crores in a year, has been enabled by this government. Everybody who talks about farmers' welfare, please note, we have not just spoken about it, we have acted on it. And this is the kind of budget that is being given for farmers' welfare. We are now working on a pension scheme for all farmers called, under the scheme called Pradhan Mantri Man Samman Yojana. And again, just to make sure that greater focus is given on risk management through crop insurance scheme, that's also being accelerated. I mentioned earlier, Speaker Sir, the National Farmers Commission, what is otherwise popularly known as Swaminathan Commission. It is our government that took it seriously and started implementing the recommendations since 2014. Of the 272 recommendations, some of the recommendations have been already implemented. The most important recommendation relates to giving the farmers 50% of the cost of production as profit margin. It is our government, again, it is our government that took the historic decision of providing a minimum of 50% as the margin of profit on the cost of production in the year 2018. So, that is very important to notice that in agriculture, sir, not just one mention or one paragraph, but several instances of where the government has reached out and will reach out further for the farmers. MSPs are notified annually for Kharif and Rabi crops. Accordingly, MSPs have been notified regularly, including for Kharif 2019, which is already done. So, I want also to draw your attention very quickly on the zero budget farming, on which a lot of work has started. Greater details will be shared with the respectful members of Parliament. Sir, I shall get into the details of crop insurance, but keeping the time in mind, and because I have a few more other things on agriculture, I want to draw your attention saying 5.61 crore farmers have been covered under the insurance schemes between 2018 and 19 over an area of about 30% of the gross cropped area. And we are taking steps to use spatial technology, smartphones, rationalize the number of crop cutting experiments, and ensure that it is conducted in the presence of all concerned stakeholders, who are farmers, insurance agencies, the state government representatives, and the local elected representatives. All can be there when the stakeholders are invited to talk on these things. We're also planning to make the whole thing voluntary, so that farmers willing to pay the premium will alone be covered under the scheme. So, on farmers, let me assure that the members' concern is well addressed, and the budget did speak quite a lot about it. Sir, on the expenditure, again, questions were raised. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme doesn't receive money adequately. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana doesn't receive money adequately. I'd like to address this issue. Respected Speaker. I would want to say, first of all, both the Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme and the PMAY are demand-driven. In 2018-19, the BE in the Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee was at 55,000 crores. However, depending on the demand for work, as Manrega is a demand-driven scheme, as I said that in a minute ago, the allocations were enhanced at the RE level to 61,084 crores. 61,084 crores. So compared to the BE of 2018-19 of 55,000 crore, there has been an increase of 5,000 crores in Manrega allocation. Additionality will be examined at the RE stage. In the current year's budget, in the current year, sir, Honorable Speaker, sir, if I'm being rebutted, even before hearing the whole thing, if I'm being rebutted, even before I conclude my point, I may have to add in here, sir, to say Manrega's implementation during UPA, which was criticized by the CAG, and the implementation now mark a very big difference, and that should answer the honorable member. The CAG pointed out to very big slippages, wrongdoings, wrong records, and that was a CAG report. So on the Manrega, the difference now is we are implementing it better than what was done earlier. So the additionality will be examined in the REC stage. In the current year's budget, the BE 2019-20 allocation under the Manrega in the BE 2019-20 is 60,000 crores, which is kept at a level of the interim budget. It is the same figure which was given during the interim budget presented during 2019. So this can be augmented during the RE stage. Now PMAY rural. If only honorable members can hear what I would want to say. Professor Saugata Roy is very keen to know the figures, and I'm giving him the answers. I wish he hears me out. PMAYR, that is the rural. In the RE 2018-19, PMAY allocation was 19,900 crores. Additionally, extra budgetary resources, extra budgetary support of 10,668 crores was also provided. The total support thus was to the tune of 30,568 crores in 2018-19. In BE 2019-20, the budgetary support has been pegged at 19,000 crores. PMAY beneficiaries are almost being fully covered. But if required, the fund can be augmented again during the RE levels or through the EBR. Decision on the EBR is yet to be taken. I'll very quickly refer to the PMAY urban. In the RE 2018-19, PMAY allocation for urban was 6,505 crores. Additionally, EBR support of 20,000 crore was also provided. I repeat, EBR support of 20,000 crore was already provided. The total support thus was to the tune of 26,505 crores. Therefore, this implies an overall increase of about 340 crores. Sir, another issue which will really make the opposition think as to why they are today rejected by the people. I'd like to draw the attention of the entire House on inflation management. I'd like to draw the attention of the House on inflation management. In 2014-15, when we took over charge, soon after that, the CPI inflation, the consumer price index inflation was at 5.9%. In our time, between 2014 and 19, this has come down steadily to 3% now. 3% now. And even worse, opposition will today know as to why people have rejected them. I'll give you the food inflation figure. The consumer price index. I'm sure they don't want to hear this, sir. The consumer price index for food inflation was at 6.4%. 6.4% in 2014-15. Today, it's come down to 0.3%. As of March 2019, this figure from 6.4 has come down to 0.3%. I wish the opposition hears this fact, this figure. They're always wanting figures. When I give it, they don't hear me. Sir, without taking much of your time, I wish to tell you that a quick scan of 99 schemes, all of which have implication on the common man, I can tell you the schemes in which our government has given more money. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, 55,000 crores to 60,000 crores. Umbrella scheme for scheduled castes has seen an increase. Umbrella program for development of scheduled tribes has seen an increase. Umbrella scheme for development of minorities has seen an increase. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana has increased. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana amount has increased. Pradhan Mantri National Rural Drinking Water Mission amount has increased. National Health Mission amount has increased. National Program for Midday Meal in Schools has increased. Umbrella ICDS amount has increased. Mission for National Livelihood Ajivika amount has increased. Jobs and Skill Development amount has increased. Crop insurance scheme amount has increased. Distribution of pulses to states, union territories and welfare schemes amount has increased. So I would like to draw your attention, Speaker, sir, that in every one of the common man implication wala schemes, we have increased the amount. The common mobility card, model tenancy law, 3 crore retailers and small shopkeepers are all getting better benefits from us. Annual turnover being less than 1.5 crores, Pradhan Mantri Karan Yogi Mandan scheme is given to them. 1.95 crore houses are proposed to be provided to eligible beneficiaries in PMAY, Gramin for phase 2, and that will last between 2019-20 to 2021-22. The Sporty envisions setting up of 100 new clusters during 2019-20, which should enable 50,000 artisans to join the economic value chain. Sir, most important, we will work with the states to ensure Har Ghar Jal, piped drinking water scheme for all the people, to all rural households by the year 2024, and that is under the Jal Jeevan mission. Sir, it is important again to notice that 1,592 critical and overexploited blocks spread across 256 districts identified for the Jal Shakti Abhiyan will be taken up seriously by the government. So sustainable waste management will also be taken up in the rural areas. So for labor welfare, you know that we've already decided that the labor codes will be brought in. Already the cabinet has approved at least one of them. Labor reforms will also happen. Sir, I can elaborate on what we have done for the startups. But very quickly, before doing that, I want to underline with figures as to how we have increased the welfare, for the welfare of SC/STs. Sir, the allocations for scheduled caste in BE 2018-19 was only 0.62 lakh crores, whereas now it is 0.81 lakh crores, 30.6% increase for scheduled caste. Sir, ST. Sir, similarly, for the STs, the allocation amount earmarked in the BE of 2018-19 was 0.41 lakh crores, 0.41 lakh crores. Now, in BE 2019-20, for the scheduled tribes, it is 0.53 lakh crores, 29.3% increase. So for women, the allocation in the 2018-19 was 1.28 lakh crores. Now it is 1.41 in this BE 2019-20, 10.2% increase. For children, 0.81 in RE of 2018-19, 0.81 lakh crores. That is now gone up to 0.92 lakh crores, 13.6% increase for children's outlay. Similarly, sir, the northeastern region has not lost out on our importance, the importance that this government has been giving. You are aware, in the last government between 14 and 19, ministers went to the northeast at least three in a month. 3 in a month, cabinet ministers visited northeast to ensure that the pending projects are all completed. Placing and continuing to place the importance of northeast, I wish to draw your attention that the budget provisions for under the RE of 2018-19 for the northeast was 0.47 lakh crores. Now it's gone to 0.59 lakh crores, 25.5% increase. And for the subsidies, the general fear is probably because we are maintaining the fiscal deficit gliding path, we will not give attention to the subsidies. Major subsidies have had 13.5% increase in allocation, sir. Last time it was 2.66 lakh crores under the RE of 2018-19. Now it is 3.02 lakh crores. Sir, I wouldn't take much of your time. Members have been very considerate to talk to us about the various schemes. I welcome any member who wants to have clarification on any of that which I've said in this House to please just give me a call. I'll go where they are, explain what we want to say, and prove that the data which is given in this budget is 100% above board. There shall be enough exercise and more, and I'm willing to engage with them as much as they want, whenever they want. So I wish to assure you, Manya Speaker Mahoday, through you, I wish to assure this entire House, there need not be any speculation on the figures which have been given out. Every number is authentic, and I have quoted also the reason as to why the differences between one number in the economic survey as opposed to what appeared in the budget document. With all this said, I just want to end my thanksgiving and also response to the budget discussion. Yes, I'm very pleased that the members have taken this interest. We wish to assure that this government believes in bringing in transformational change in India. keeping the common man in mind, whether he is in the village, whether he is in the cities, whether he is living in far-flung areas. Every aspect of the economy has been given a priority, and we shall do it, making sure that members of parliament can constantly be informed about it in various ways. I thank each one of the members who participated in this discussion, and I'm very happy to be able to give them the explanation. Thank you.
और बोलना हो तो नीचे से बैठ कर बोल लो। कोई माननीय सदस्य और बैठ के बोलना चाहता है क्या? माननीय सदस्य, आप बीच में बहुत ले लिए, आपका क्लियरफिकेशन हो गया। सुदीप दादा।
और नहीं होगा सर। आप भी सर फिनांस मिनिस्टर भी टीचर है, आप भी टीचर बन गए, हेडमास्टर। ये नहीं करना चाहिए। अरे बैठिए, आप चुप रहिए।
Sir, budget, we are habituated of learning that whether it is a surplus budget or it is a deficit budget. But it has been prescribed as a zero budget. So it has not been explained very properly that what zero budget means. Secondly, petrol diesel price rise is a genuine problem for the poor farmers, which caused the increase of every commodity. Sogato Rai wanted to mention it through a point of order. It was neither allowed nor the questions are replied. So the questions, as because have not been replied properly, so we also, as a mark of protest, we are also walking out.
सोगत राय जी
बोलेंगे,
अब वॉकआउट कर रहे हैं। चलो, बी मेहताब जी।
Honorable Speaker, sir.
एक मिनट माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Sorry, sir.
बात में
Zero budget के जब बात हुई, generally about the budget, it's not what has been. It is zero budget farming. We are talking about farming, zero budget farming. So any case about the budget, we've already spoken about the fiscal deficit. So zero budget उसके लिए नहीं है, farming के लिए जी. Thank you. Much before, I don't know if it is a budget related thing. I'm sure you will call me to say, allow me to request the members to pass the budget. But till then I'll
बी मेहताब जी।
I had requested the Honorable Speaker to allow me to seek certain clarifications. And this arises from your speech today, or a reply to all the discussion that has occurred during last 2 days. At one point of time, you mentioned all farmers have been bought under PM Kisan. Telangana was the first state to start with Rayat Bandhu, providing support to the farmers, 10,000 rupees per acre per family. The next was Odisha, which started Kalia, which was for all farmers, not only the land-holding farmers, but farm laborers and also sharecroppers. My question here is, when you are saying all farmers, yes, Jharkhand has done, West Bengal has done, number of other states have also, even Karnataka also has done. Yes, Andhra has done. But my question here is, number of state governments also are conscious the problem the farmers are facing. So they have, from their resources, are also coming out with this type of program. My question here is, when you are talking one, whether all farmers, those who are engaged in farming, those who are landless laborers, those who are sharecroppers, whether PM Kisan is covering them today or not, as you have enhanced, that it is not confined to those who are below 2 hectares.
माननीय सदस्य कुछ क्लियरफिकेशन करने दो।
And second question, part of it is, there is a suggestion which Odisha government had given at Niti Aayog, Chief Minister had given that suggestion. Why not share it? Let Union government come with 70 30% and state government will provide 30%. Let us make it a cohesive program where both center and state can go together for the benefit of the farmer. Whether you are going ahead with that, consulting other state governments so that it will be helpful for the genuine problem which our farmers are facing.
निशिकांत दुबे।
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। एनपीए का जो मामला है, इसमें 70,000 करोड़ कैपिटल एडिक्वेसी के लिए भारत सरकार ने दिया हुआ है और एनपीए का जो मामला है वो लेगेसी का एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। वित्त मंत्रालय की जो अस्थायी संसदीय समिति है, जिसमें भर्तृहरि महताब साहब और शिव कुमार उदासी साहब भी मेंबर हैं और जिसके अध्यक्ष कांग्रेस के वीरप्पा मोइली और पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री मनमोहन सिंह जी हुआ करते थे, उन्होंने 2 एग्रीमेंट साइन किया था स्पीकर महोदय मनमोहन सिंह जी ने। एक बासिल नॉर्म्स का इस देश ने साइन किया था और इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंसिंग रिपोर्टिंग सिस्टम, और वो दोनों एक प्राइवेट बॉडी है, प्राइवेट संस्था है, और वित्त की उसी स्थिति समिति ने, जिसके की मेंबर मनमोहन सिंह जी थे, उनको ज्ञान हुआ, दिव्य ज्ञान हुआ कमेटी में आने के बाद कि ये देश के लिए और बैंक के लिए बहुत ही खराब है और कैपिटल एडिक्वेसी बढ़ाने के लिए इस दोनों सिस्टम से अपने को बाहर निकलना चाहिए। तो जो वित्त की अस्थायी समिति ने हम लोगों ने रिकमेंड करके भेजा है एक कमेटी बनाने के लिए, वित्त मंत्रालय ने उसके ऊपर क्या कार्रवाई की और क्या हम लोग बासिल और आईएफआरएस से बाहर निकल रहे हैं?
नामा नागेश्वर राव। आप क्लेरिफिकेशन कर लें।
ओनली क्लैरिफिकेशन सर। थैंक यू सर। सर कल एक तो जो है ना सब एंटायर हाउस एंटायर कंट्री ये बात को अभी एक्सेप्ट किया है। पहले तेलंगाना से 10,000 रुपीज हम लोग पर एकड़ के लिए पर किसान के लिए दिया। उसी तरह से सर अभी जो हर घर जल का जो बात हुआ था, हर घर जल का जो है ना सर अभी हम लोग जो है ना घर घर के लिए पानी दे रहा है। अभी जो फंड्स अभी जो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने जो बताया इसके लिए जो है ना काफी आगे ले जाने के लिए हम लोगों का रिक्वेस्ट यही है। पहले भी नीति आयोग भी जो है ना इसमें जो है ना सर रिकमेंडेशंस किया था। जो स्टेट इस तरीके से जो है ना सर जो पहले आगे बढ़ के जो आगे चल रहा है उसका साथ अभी मेहता जी जिस तरह से बोला है कुछ शेयर का साथ अगर जो है ना सब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट 70% 30% सब गवर्नमेंट से बात करके ये स्कीम्स को उसमें फाइनेंशियल का जो सपोर्ट मिलने से ये कंट्री में जो जिस तरह से जो है सर जो 5 ट्रिलियन का जो इकोनॉमी के लिए $5 ट्रिलियन का के लिए हम लोग जो सोच रहा था वो पॉसिबल है। यू हैव टू टेक द जो है सर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स आल्सो इन दिस प्रोग्राम टुगेदर। दैट इज आवर रिक्वेस्ट सर। उसलिए जो है ना हमारा तेलंगाना स्टेट के लिए जो प्रोग्राम जो था उसके लिए भी ये कंसिडर करने के लिए सर।
माननीय सदस्यगण, मैं माननीय सदस्यगणों का आग्रह करता हूं, अभी नहीं है, जो बीच में उठकर बोलेगा उसको भी क्लेरिफिकेशन की आज्ञा नहीं दी जाएगी। मेरा व्यवस्था आज के बाद, इसलिए आपको दानिश अली जी मैं बोल रहा हूं, मौका अंतिम बार मैं अगर अध्यक्ष रहा तो बीच में उठने वालों को क्लेरिफिकेशन का मौका नहीं दिया जाएगा।
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। मैं एक बहुत छोटा सा क्लैरिफिकेशन माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी से लेना चाहता हूं कि जो प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना है, जिस तरीके से इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर को खुली लगाम दी गई है, अगर कोई किसान कर्जा लेता है किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड के माध्यम से, उसकी जमीन का इंश्योरेंस ऑटोमेटिकली कर दिया जाता है बैंक के द्वारा, उससे प्रीमियम वसूल कर लिया जाता है। लेकिन जब अगर किसान की फसल नष्ट होती है, जो किसान कर्जा लेता है, और जब वो मुआवजे के लिए जाता है तो उससे कहा जाता है कि अगर आपके क्षेत्र में, आपके ब्लॉक में, आपकी तहसील में अगर 33% से ज्यादा किसानों की फसल नष्ट हुई है तभी आपको मुआवजा मिलेगा। मेरा माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी से ये पूछना है कि जब किसान इंडिविजुअल प्रीमियम देता है तो उसको मुआवजा इंडिविजुअली क्यों ना मिले? ये कहीं ना कहीं इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर को मुनाफा कमाने की खुली छूट दी गई है।
फिर माननीय सदस्य।
सर ब्रीफली मैं रिस्पॉन्ड करना चाहती हूँ। माननीय भर्तृहरि महताब जी ने,
आप तीनों का एक साथ ही जवाब दे दें
सर।
तीनों का एक साथ ही जवाब दे दें।
ठीक। विषय उठाया कि व्हाट हैपेंस टू दोज किसान हु डोंट पोसेस लैंड। इसमें एक विषय मैं धन्यवाद कहना चाह रही हूँ माननीय राजनाथ जी को, who reminded me that PM श्रम योगी मान स्कीम में, मान धन स्कीम में जो लैंडलेस लेबरर्स है उनको भी जोड़ा जाता है. So we are not leaving them out, but they're covered under a different scheme. So that's one thing. Second, sir, sharing के विषय suggestion के नाते दिए हैं. I'll have to see how it works out. Sir, about member Nishikant Dubey ji talking about the capital adequacy and the Basel norms, referring to the standing committee, finance standing committee, in which Manya member Veerappa Moily ji and Dr. Manmohan Singh were the eminent members. I will have to definitely go back and get back some time to talking, maybe aside from the house here with Nishikant ji, to see what are the other things which are implied in that report. So I'll do that exercise with the honorable members separately. About member Nama Nageshwar Rao talking about Har Ghar Jal. Sir, Telangana of course does a lot of interesting experiments. But if I'm not wrong, Har Ghar Jal, many states do a lot of experiments, I grant that. But if I know right, the experiment on water, which if I'm not mistaken, even Telangana government probably went and saw it, happened in Gujarat. And in Gujarat, experiment had started. Many states, of course, have their own exemplary ways of doing it. Telangana is also doing. It's doing even for the landless and the workers, the land. Even Bihar is doing it. So, Har Ghar Jal, today we are talking at a national level, talking about the blocks which are very acutely suffering. I do take member Nageshwar Rao's suggestion, but states, all of them are desperately now trying, and the centre would like to work with all of them. Thank you.